Oh my days. What is up, guys? We are back with another episode on Praz's Pitch. And today we're going to be going over the two upcoming semifinal games for this World Cup, which, unfortunately, guys, it is almost over. But that just means that these last couple games are going to be that much better, that much more exciting. Um, and I'm really looking forward to them. So, to start off, talking about France versus Spain. When I look at these teams, there's a couple of things that I think of. Immediately popping out to probably everyone is just the absolute threat of this 9 and 10 duo that France have in Kylian Mbappe and Michael Olise. Um, I think it's just such an outstanding attack. I mean, when you think back, uh, have we seen anything like it recently in history? I mean, I think most recently, I can think of probably Kevin De Bruyne and Erling Haaland at Man City. But even then, they didn't really share that versatility and unpredictability that these two players have. And looking at their defense, you have Saliba and Upamecano as the center back pairing, where Saliba is coming off of a season where he has been the best defender on the best defensive team in all of Europe, in all of the world, and Upamecano, who's somehow playing even better than him at this World Cup tournament. There's just nothing about this team that doesn't say that it's the best team in the world. Now, with that being said, when you look at the Spanish team, I actually think that they are going to be the ones who are dictating the pace of play for this game. And that comes down to how De La Fuente likes to play, the personnel that you have with Rodri, Pedri, Fabian Ruiz if he's playing, Lamine Yamal, these ball possessing defenders like Barsi and Laporte. Um, Even compared to the Portuguese game, where Portugal had probably one of the best ball carrying midfielders midfields in the world, with Vitinha, João Neves, Bruno Fernandes, or Bruno Fernandes. Um, they still outpossessed them 55% to 45%. France, although they have the better team, probably do not have that same caliber of passing midfielders. Not they don't have that same sort of personnel, and so I think it's pretty easy to say that Spain are going to be possessing a lot more of this game. But as we know, these French attackers are going to get chances, and they are so deadly at coming up with and finishing these chances. So my prediction for what's going to happen in this game. Hopefully, people who are watching this after the game maybe looking to hear what I have to say if I'll be right, and looking on to the England Argentina game later, uh, will say that I'm right. Um, I do think France will still win this game, but if Spain wants to do it, it's going to be that they just had so much of the ball, were pushing so much on the France box, the Spanish midfielders just had such a great game that you're never going to limit France to zero chances, but they had so few chances that players like Mbappe and Dembele take a little bit to get warmed into the games. Oftentimes, you'll see Mbappe missing his first few chances before burying his fourth or fifth. So if Spain can limit them to only those first 2-3 chances, I think that a lot of people might be surprised at whether or not France will be able to do anything in that situation. Um, like I said, though, I still do think that France is going to win this game, and that comes down to really one player who we mentioned earlier in Michael Olise. Um, I just think that Olise at any given time is always going to be the most effective player on the pitch. You give him one chance, he will make a phenomenal goal scoring opportunity with it. We've seen it time and time again. Um, and I really think he's been the difference maker for this France team. He's been the player that someone like Mbappe has desperately needed at Real Madrid. Florentino Perez. If you want to spend 200 million, you should. Um, and I just think you don't really need to complicate this all that much. Spain are going to possess the ball, but I think with the caliber of player that Michael Olise is and the chance creation that Mbappe and Dembele are going to offer to pair with that, France are going to be going through with this match. Um, Score, I think when you have these really, really high caliber of attackers, it's easy to say that you're going to be having a high scoring match. We looked at the Nations League game that these two have. I think it was what 4-5, which I mean 4-5, what a game! But in the World Cup, in these I think the intensity of it is just going to be at another level. Um, and so I definitely don't think it'll reach anywhere near that. Um, I'm looking at a 2-1, 2-1, 1-0 France. Um, I don't think 1-0. I think both teams are going to score here, actually. I just think Spain are going to be capable of coming up with so many chances. I think I'll be looking at a 2-1 France. I could fully see this going into extra time. Um, but yeah, I'd go 2-1 with Mbappe and Barcola coming on scoring the winner. Now, moving on to this England Argentina game. I've got a few things to say. The first of which I think a lot of people have seen this. I have not been very impressed with Argentina at all. To me, it looks like they are just absolutely depending on Lionel Messi to go and create everything for them. Um, yes, in the last game, Alvarez had that amazing goal, and then Lati also snuck one in at the end. But for the large majority of these games, it really looks like they're playing, kick the ball to Messi and hope he creates something, which, in their defense, uh, there are a lot worse plans than kick the ball to Messi. Um, but I just think that, with the severity of this game, with the way that England are going to probably put three people on him at really all times when he's near their box, it's going to be difficult to. I mean, obviously, he will create a few good chances. It's going to be difficult, though, to expect him to solely carry this Argentinian team to victory in this game. If Argentina wants to win, they're going to need Julian Alvarez. They're going to need McAllister, Enzo Fernandez to step up and carry some of that creating burden that Messi has been really doing for them all tournament. Um, and yeah, I've been disappointed with Argentina, and for that reason, I'm probably more confident in saying that England are going to make it to the final and get that chance to have football come home. Uh, I think when you look at this English team, what I'm gonna think regarding this game is Jude Bellingham. You know, the Argentinian midfielders are going to be so scrappy. They're going to be shouting. They're going to be, really trying to get in everyone's head. Can Jude Bellingham, along with Elliot Anderson and Declan Rice, keep that composure, still be, passionate and running, but you don't want to play the Argentinian game if you're England. I think they need the composure to create chances that their world class player Harry Kane can finish. Um, and so if they want to beat Argentina, it's going to be about not letting them play the Argentinian game and sort of keeping their minds cooler and staying playing that English game. Now, I've done a lot of talking about the midfield and attacking players um, because they are ultimately the best players on both respective teams. But when it comes down to it, I think my faith in England actually comes down to the defenses of both teams. When you look at this English squad, it might not be the best English defense that they've ever had, but Gahey, Stones, Konsa, Nico O'Reilly, or Jed Spence to sub in, they're all solid players. And I think when you look at the composure of players like Gahey and Konsa, who are going to be able to keep the cool and help the midfield players do the same for England, I think that's going to be a real difference maker. And I think they're going to do the better job of containing the Argentinian attackers. Whereas when you look at this Argentinian defense, I'm not so sold this year on Christian Romero, Martinez in the defense. I think overall they are solid center backs, but I think they both have their moments where maybe they're not the kind of players who are going to be World Cup winners with the way that their current form is. Obviously, they did win the last World Cup, and besides from that, I actually think the real weak point is going to be these Argentinian fullbacks, uh, Tagliafico and Molina. Of course, they're going to be willing to die for Messi. They're going to be putting in this passion. But when you get to this stage of the tournament, who isn't for their team? You know, these English players are going to be pushing harder than they ever have before as well. And I think at the end of the day, they just have more talent than the Argentinian fullbacks. And so if England can get, new Barcelona 80 million signing Anthony Gordon to attack, to get Saka when he comes on, because God knows why Thomas Tuchel starts Madueke every game. Um, if they can get Saka to come on to create a lot of chances against these fullbacks, I think that's really going to be the difference maker. And so when I look at score for this game, um, I mean, I'm looking probably, I don't want to say 2-1 again, but I really think probably 2-1 England, maybe 1-0, honestly. Um, just because these games are going to be so competitive. You're never going to see in the semifinal with these caliber of teams a real large goal differential. You're never going to see anyone win by three. I'd be pretty surprised to even see two. Um, so I'm going to go with 2-1 England. Um, you know, who's going to score? I'm not really sure. I think Bellingham is obviously going to be contributing to at least one, if not both, of the goals. Harry Kane, I think, sometimes can get a little taken out of in a game like this. And that's not to say anything against him. I think he just draws up so much of that Argentinian attention that it's going to be opening up spaces for the players behind him, like Bellingham, like maybe Elliot Anderson or Anthony Gordon, who's going to be running along that wing. Um, and so to summarize, yeah, I'm going to say that this England defense is going to help their midfield and attack really win it over this slightly more than in the past lackluster Argentinian defense. Um, who struggled against Cape Verde. They really struggled against Egypt, against Switzerland, who aren't the top team that England is at what number 4 FIFA ranking. Um, and so yeah, I'm gonna say that we are gonna see an England France final, and we'll talk about that game more when it happens. Peace.